Hi, 5th grade math students. This is Chapter 7.5, Comparing Three Quantities. In this lesson, we'll learn to read and write ratios with three quantities, and we'll also learn to express equivalent ratios with three quantities. Let's get started. Let's explore how to use a ratio to compare three quantities. Wendy has 4 red carnations, 8 pink carnations, and 12 yellow carnations. The ratio of the number of red carnations to the number of pink carnations to the number of yellow carnations is 4 to 8 to 12. So to express this in simplest form, we can use two possible methods. In method 1, we'll simply search for the greatest common factor between 4, 8, and 12. What do you think that would be? You're right, it's 4. So we can basically think about putting each of the quantities of flowers into boxes of 4. So we'll have one box of 4 red flowers, right? Because we only have 4 red flowers. We have 8 pink flowers, so we'll have 2 boxes of pink flowers. And we can make 3 boxes of 4 yellow flowers. So our ratio expressed in simplest form is 1 to 2 to 3. So that's method 1, using the greatest common factor to think about grouping the quantity that you have into the smallest possible number of groups that will work together. So 4 to 8 to 12 becomes 1 to 2 to 3, because you can make groups of 4 out of each one of those units of flowers. Okay, let's look at method 2. Method 2 will look very similar to the techniques that you learned earlier in Chapter 7. We're simply going to find the greatest common factor, which is 4, and we're going to divide each one of our terms by 4. And then rewrite our ratio. 4 divided by 4 is 1, 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Giving us our ratio in simplest form as 1 to 2 to 3. So the ratio of the number of red carnations to the number of pink carnations to the number of yellow carnations is 1 to 2 to 3. Here are your first 2 practice problems for Chapter 7.5. Please rewrite each ratio to express it in its simplest form. You can either think about making groups using the greatest common factor, or you can divide by the greatest common factor, method 1 or method 2. Do whichever works best for your brain. Press pause while you work, and there'll be more problems to come after these. Now we're going to find missing terms in ratios that have 3 numbers. This is very similar to the technique you used when you were comparing ratios with 2 terms. So we want to find the missing term in 2 to 3 to 5 is equal to unknown quantity to 12 to unknown quantity. So we want to look at our second term, since those are the only 2 that we can compare at this point. First, we want to find the multiplying factor. What times 3 equals 12? It's 4. Okay? So our multiplying factor will be 4. To find the missing terms, we simply now need to multiply the first term, 2, by 4, giving us 8, to 12, our known term. And then we need to take 4 times 5 to get 20. So our missing terms were 8 and 20, giving us an answer of 2 to 3 to 5 is equal to 8 to 12 to 20. This works exactly the same way as it did when you had 2 terms. Now you just have the additional term to work with. We can also use division to find missing terms. In this equation, 18 to 12 to 9 equals unknown quantity to 3. We're going to want to divide to find our missing terms. So let's look at our third terms, which are the only ones we have. Both numbers that we can use to make a comparison. So let's find our greatest common factor of the third terms, 9 and 3. And then we're going to divide by that term to solve for the first and second terms. So the greatest common factor between 9 and 3 will be 3. So 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. Now let's follow that same pattern we've used before, where we're going to divide 18 by 3. We're going to divide 12 by 3. Whoops, I wrote 2. And we're going to divide 9 by 3 to give our new equivalent ratio. So 18 divided by 3 is 6, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our missing terms were 6 and 4, giving us a final answer of 18 to 12 to 9 is equal to 6 to 4 to 3. And here are the final 3 practice problems for this lesson. For each practice problem, please find the missing terms and the equivalent ratios. When I see you tomorrow, we'll practice more on working with 3-term ratios. See you then.